He trained real hard. He went through a dog-eat-dog, get down, get witted in the trenches kind of a workout, and never said, I'm tired. I like that about Chuck. He could kick well and punch well. Up until that time, the Korean stylists were good kickers, they couldn't punch. The Japanese stylists were good punchers, but they couldn't kick. And Chuck was the first guy to come along could do both.
From the mid to late 60s, American martial arts gained strength as karate instructors such as Ed Parker began to build personal followings. In Los Angeles, Parker taught a style of karate called Kempo. Soon, American names such as Elvis Presley's started to become synonymous with karate.
Oh, yeah. Hey, hey. Oh, yeah. Baby. Yeah.
In 1964, Ed Parker staged the International Karate Championships in Long Beach, California. Assembled were some of the biggest names in American karate, but every competitor's accomplishments were overshadowed by a demonstration given by an unknown Chinese stylist named Bruce Lee. Lee was a sensation. The performance of his own version of Kung Fu left a lasting impression on many spectators and practitioners.
I was so impressed with him. Even though he was 5 years younger than me, I thought he would be the person I would love to study under. And he needed a training partner because he was doing a series of Kung Fu demonstrations and cha-cha dancing routines. And he needed someone to be his dummy. So he asked if I would be the dummy, and in exchange he would teach me.
In the mid-60s, Bruce Lee had begun to develop a martial arts system. It combined Kung Fu with a variety of Eastern and Western fighting techniques, including boxing. Lee called it Jeet Kune Do, way of the intercepting fist. Lee meant for practitioners of the system to use all ways and means to serve an end.
He said that an individual is probably more important than any established style, whether it be Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Okinawan. So you got to find out what works for you, and that's not necessarily dictated by a culture. And I think he made people aware that there's something good to be found in every martial art.
Almost single-handedly, Lee launched a martial arts craze beginning in the late 1960s with his American acting debut as Kato, a martial arts crime fighter in the Green Hornet TV series.
Many adults this day can remember their first interest in martial arts through that particular TV series, the Green Hornet or Kato.
Motion pictures tied to the fighting styles of Kung Fu have become enormously popular around the world. And one of the major factors in this success has been Bruce Lee, master of the art of self-defense.
During the decade of the 1970s, Bruce Lee helped establish an unprecedented mass acceptance of the martial arts in America that has never been matched.
In Hong Kong, the greatest Kung Fu fighters in the world are keeping alert under the intense physical strain. There is no other way to make a motion picture called Enter the Dragon.
With Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee mania became a worldwide phenomenon. Lee played a Shaolin disciple motivated to destroy a drug operation. When the movie was released a short time after Lee's death in 1973, it became a huge hit.
Action!
His was kind of an eclectic style, and I think all of these things that he used just simply made it more interesting. It really made him famous, and I think it was the catalyst that made America, you know, Kung Fu crazy.
We had more millions of people involved in martial arts because of Bruce Lee than any other single figure.
The crowd very excited here at the Olympic Auditorium. Full contact karate.
The martial arts boom of the 70s continued to be fueled by the film and television media. In 1972, the television series Kung Fu starred David Carradine and brought martial arts into American living rooms on a weekly basis. Then, filmgoers in the early 1970s cheered a character named Billy Jack. A Vietnam War veteran and karate expert, Billy Jack took on the reactionary establishment. Star Tom Laughlin's kicks, choreographed by martial artist Bong Soo-han, introduced audiences to a Korean martial art called Hapkido.
When they first released Billy Jack picture, I went to theater to watch audience reaction. It was incredible. The whole world everywhere. Just simply because never seen any kicking like this in movie history. I was very pleased with that reactions.
By the early 80s, the numbers of students training in schools across the country had leveled off. That changed, however, in 1984, when the Karate Kid came along. Ralph Macchio portrayed a teenager tormented by bullies until an unlikely mentor, a handyman, played by Pat Morita, teaches him about self-confidence and karate.
Karate here. Karate here. Karate never here. You understand?
I think so.
In the 70s, the film star was flying through the air and doing superhuman antics and fighting for 20 minutes and all this insanity. The Karate Kid changed all of that. In many ways, the Karate Kid restored the dignity of the martial artist. He restored the dignity of the instructor, and that was through the brilliant portrayal of Mr. Miyagi.
A lesson not just karate only. Lesson for whole life.
He took us from being superhumans to being caring, compassionate instructors. That clicked, particularly with parents throughout the country, and that's when we saw a huge influx of children in the schools.
In 1988, hundreds of Korean martial artists demonstrated Taekwondo at the Olympic Games in Seoul. Millions of Americans, many for the first time, got a good look at Korea's national sport and loved it.
From the '88 Olympics, we saw a great influx of Taekwondo studios around the country, and you probably see more Taekwondo now than anything else. And so it's really taken off, and I think the Olympics had a lot to do with that.
The martial arts have come a long way since their secretive practice by a select few. And the contributions to the martial arts by Americans have been enormous.
The Americans, by far, have pioneered everything that's been important in terms of economic growth and in terms of commercialism. Americans have actually made the martial arts a worldwide entity.
The martial arts will return on A&E. There are hundreds of martial arts, and within each are several styles. Many arts and styles share common techniques. Some are primarily hard, focusing on the kicking and striking. Others are soft, emphasizing throws, locks, and grappling. No one art can be considered the best, but among the martial arts of China, Korea, Japan, and Okinawa, there are about a dozen arts which have grown increasingly popular in the U.S. and throughout the world. Many believe at the heart of all Eastern martial arts is the ancient Chinese art of Kung Fu. In China today, Kung Fu training often begins at an early age. In fact, it's an integral part of the curriculum at some schools, such as the Tago Wushu or Martial Arts Institute in central China. Here, some 4,000 students practice Kung Fu daily. In China, the term Kung Fu refers to a person skilled in any field. Most Westerners, though, associate Kung Fu specifically with fighting techniques, some of which are adapted from nature.
There are even some specific styles of Kung Fu that just deal with animals, such as the mantis movements, which concentrate on how mantises capture their prey. And monkey movements, which use the actions of monkeys to design several fighting movements.
As Kung Fu spread throughout China, it began to reflect the physical characteristics of its practitioners and their surroundings.
In northern part of China, people usually are taller, so they have longer legs. So they utilize the leg more, and then the land is more flat, so they can do more leaping and jumping. Southern part of China, the land and landscaping is not as flat. They have a lot of rocky mountain area, and people live in the area usually are shorter, so therefore they will stay on the ground more, so they use more hand than rather high jump and kick.
Since ancient times, the use of weapons has been a part of Kung Fu. Students from around the world study weaponry and other Kung Fu techniques at the International Shaolin Training Institute in central China. There are several legends concerning the origin of Tai Chi Chuan. But historical evidence points to a location in central China known as Chenjiago, Chen Village, as Tai Chi's 17th century birthplace. While Tai Chi Chuan is practiced mainly for exercise, originally it was a fighting art.
The transition from one movement to the next movement, every movement is a fighting application. It was used in warfare.
Practicing Tai Chi Chuan can affect one's vital energy, or qi. There are several styles, all based on the solo form, which is a series of deflections and counters against an imaginary attacker. When the solo forms are perfected, a student goes on to one of the highest levels of exercise called push hands.
What it is a sensitivity to the partner's energy. If we become that high level, we can actually perceive what the partner is going to do, and we almost can know what the person is going to do before he even does it.
Even at its most basic level, Tai Chi Chuan can improve muscle tone, circulation, and ultimately, some say, one's inner peace. Today, millions practice Tai Chi boxing for holistic health purposes.
They discovered that Tai Chi actually does a lot of good for the human nervous system, the digestive system, and the circulatory system. It actually exercises these three parts of the body.
In Korea, Warangdo evolved from the fighting techniques of the 6th century Warang warriors. Legend has it they could kill with a single punch. They were also known to spin kick so fast it was as if their feet were swords. Warangdo uses circular and linear movements derived from ancient times. Training is divided into 4 parts.